and I started making music, and then I was like getting thousands of plays, tens of thousands of plays, and I was like, "Where's my money?"
Explain what we're gonna be doing today.
So today on our channel, we have a very special guest, one of Hong Kong's emerging artists, Nighter99. Oh wait, I have to send him a link.
A few moments later.
Ooh.
2 hours later.
Even when I'm drunk, you're my only type, yeah.
Please don't break my heart. I know that you might, yeah.
Tell me now, are you about that life? Yeah.
Oh shit, here's his joining.
NANI?
Whoa.
How are you?
Oh, we're good. I mean, I'm good. I don't know about him. Are you good?
Wait, how do I see both of you guys? I can only see it's here.
Oh.
You wanna start it, Ditya?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the questions that we just thought of, and Hyun brought it up to me, was how did you come up with Nighter99 as your name?
Oh, yeah, I ask this question a lot, but I can't really remember fully. But I think it was back in the day. I used to be obsessed with Juice World. I don't know. I was in like a really weird. I had that Juice World face, and Juice World's thing is 999. I know it sounds stupid, but it was nighttime, and I was like, Nighter 999, and I was like, no, 999 is too long, so I just cut out one of the nines. I made it 99.
So
So that's how I came up.
is that why you started music, like because of Juice WRLD?
Actually, no, it was because of Ian Dior, but I was like, that kind of
Yeah.
combination of music. So yeah,
Is there
that's
like
pretty much how I
a
started.
specific song that made you want to like, oh, I want to start making music?
I think because when I first started making music, it was like in 2019. It was like when Ian Dior's first album came out, and I remember I never really heard of Ian Dior before, and all of a sudden like everybody's listening to him. He's making great music. So, and I watched like a couple of videos, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I met some producers and blah blah blah." And I was like, you know what? If this guy can just get up there, I know, might as well give it a try. Because I always did music my entire life. I played guitar. I always wanted to like rap, sing,
Hmm.
and I decided to do it, even though it wasn't that good at the start, because like when I started, there was like nobody else making music other than who's the guy that made Hong Kong Kids, other than that guy. But there's like nobody like our age making music at the time, and nowadays it's a bit more accepted, but I still think there's a big stereotype in Hong Kong that like just Hong Kong music's bad. But yeah.
Do you think now, like since you started making music and now you've got like, a little bit of success in Hong Kong, that other people have started making music as well? Because I feel like it's grown after
Yeah,
99.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a well, not everybody says they obviously were inspired by me, but I remember I was talking to a couple of people, and they said they've always said it's just like me. They always wanted to make music, but they never had the courage to post anything. They never had the courage to even try. And after I did it, and they saw that it wasn't like impossible for other people to like not hate on them for the music, even though there will be obviously all the time there's gonna be people that hate on you. But yeah, and they were just like, yeah, so you inspired me, and and that's actually how I got many, like how I featured with other people. It's because they were like, yo, like you inspired me, and we should make a song together. So I think that's what happened with Junior.
Hmm.
Would you say your collaboration with Junior is like your biggest one, or do you think?
Well, I actually I just I just submitted an album for release, but I think it could be better. It was on a tight schedule because at the time I was just trying to. I didn't make music for a long time at that time, and I had a bunch of songs that they weren't completely finished, but I decided to post it anyway. But I feel like it could be a little bit better. But everybody likes it. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people like it. So I mean, it's okay. But the stuff I have coming is a lot better than before. It's like a mix.
What's it gonna be called? Can you drop the album name?
Yeah. The album's name is Lucifer's Dream. And the reason why I picked Lucifer's Dream is that I feel like the person Lucifer is it kind of reminds me of myself, and in a way that, like, he was like, it sounds stupid, but it's like symbolic meaning. It's like he was an angel, and he you know he went on to hell, and now he's alone. I feel like that kind of symbolizes with me a lot, because I used to I used to always, I used to do a lot of stupid shit in the past. I felt like I always in the past I tended to want to impress other people than putting myself first. So I would do things to make other people happy, but I never did stuff to make myself happy. And I don't know. I feel like it's really reminiscent to Lucifer, and how that character.
So when you sort of make lyrics, is that where you get your inspiration from, like your like past or like what you want to do in the future?
I would say yeah, but I guess it really depends on what kind of song I'm making. Yeah, if I'm making like a rap song, like a hard rap song,
Yeah.
it's just mostly a bunch of bullshit. but but when I'm making like sad music, or like stuff that, something just happened to me, I would make sad music, and I would say everything in the sad music side is reality, and what
Mhm.
has happened in the past. And it's also one of the reasons why I started making music. It's like it was an outlet for me to put, because like, you can't go to other people and you can't really send a message to them, because, like, sometimes, like, they say they care, but when you tell them shit, they'll be like, oh, are you okay, oh, are you this, that. But then in reality, once you stop the conversation, they're not really gonna give a shit, so
Yeah.
I felt like if I put it into my music, it's kind of like a message that, that people that care, they would, listen to it, and, kind of get the message behind it. So yeah.
So do you
Yeah.
think like making music has made you like a stronger individual, I guess, more secure in
For sure,
yourself?
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Because yeah, in the past, I didn't really take criticism lightly. I was really, like, critical to myself about other people. And also, this is like at the phase where, like, YOLOs and Send Its were, like, at its peak, and
Yeah.
I started doing them just like everybody else. And surprise, surprise, a lot of stuff came about my music, and my music wasn't that good at the time. It's a lot better now, but
Yeah.
I feel like at the time I didn't handle it properly. But now, I learned that if people are hating it, at least they're listening to my music. It's their opinion, doesn't really matter. And I wouldn't be at this mindset today if that never happened in the past. So
I think
yeah,
I remember you like posting, and almost every single message would be like, oh, either your music is great or oh, your music is trash.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
you've made how many albums now? Is it one or two? Two?
Well, I made one album and one EP, so it's like just a little bit under, what can classify as an album. I think it was like two songs less than what is officially classified as an album. It
Mhm.
was like 7 songs. I think an album is 9, and then the other one was like 11, 12. The one I have coming up is like around 20 songs. Yeah,
Oh,
20.
okay. Is it a long album? Is in terms of length?
Well, yeah, I used to be, you remember Henry, you remember Henry, right? Henry Moore. Yeah. So he would always come to my house. It's like my house was basically a second house. And uh I remember the funny story is how I met Henry is that I was at Max's house, his little brother, and we were gonna sleep over, and Henry was having a sleepover with his other friend Oscar. And Max didn't know I made music at the time, so I showed him my music, this is like early days. It's like 2019, and I showed him my music, and he was like, "Yo, this is banging." So we go eat dinner and with his family, and then Max is just like, "Henry, you know this guy makes music, and we're gonna make music tonight." And Henry was actually with his other friend Oscar, and they were gonna make music too. So we were like, that was a mad coincidence. So basically, for the whole entire night, we were just making songs together, and that's how I met Henry. And he
Mm.
always came to my house, and you know, we always bonded. He's like a big brother, and he's not here anymore, but we made so many songs, you know, that we didn't release that we saw what happened to each other, you know, with like girls, with like family, like we were always there for each other, and that's kind of how I made most of the songs on the album. It was with Henry, you know, during those times. So it was like over a year, I think, that I spent in total making all of the songs.
Mhm.
So yeah.
It's like I remember that like I don't know if it was a music video or but like that film of you, Henry, Max, and there was like a few other people and you guys are just like walking down DB or something.
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
So have you, speaking of music videos, like you were featured in another one, right? Or
Hmm.
like I've seen all those photos of you like in like the car and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So was that big? Like how like what was like the production kind of a thing?
Well, actually, you know, every like you know when you're in the shower and you're just like, oh yeah. I, I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes I'm in the shower and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a music video. It's gonna be so badass. But like the sheer like anxiety that you get from like actually like being around all these like the director, being around like the video, like the big ass camera in your face,
Yeah.
and like all the photographers. So it was a big production, but yeah, it was my first time, so I wasn't really used to it. So I didn't really have the confidence, you know, because like I was surrounded by these cars and by these people just like taking pictures of me, and there was like Miss Hong Kong there. Like I didn't really know how to react, and the other guy was fine. The guy that made the song, he was fine, but you know, I was a bit anxious. You know, I was like, I wasn't really confident in front of the camera because I'm like, you know, yeah.
Well, have you done a music video since then? Like, have you seen yourself, gain confidence in that?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think the big part of why I wasn't confident was because I feel like a lot of music videos, it's either it's a big production or it's like, you know, they're just with a videographer and they're just like doing a one-on-one, so it's like a bit better. I think one of the main reasons why I didn't do too well is because there was so much pressure, and it's like 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 personally I felt I had to be on a certain level, you know, I had to be on a certain level with how I acted, what I did, and like all of that, and how I dressed. And I plan on making two more music videos. These are not like high production or anything, like no like Lamborghinis and no like nothing of that. Just like one on one, you know, like a genuine music video, you know, reflecting either like my past, like you know, making a movie about like my something that's happened in the past has affected me. So
I mean, music videos don't need to be high production and as long as they have like.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
So this brings me to another part of the conversation, which I'm pretty interested to talk about, and that's like Spotify. So you have, since you post and you're an artist, you have like a different kind of Spotify, right? So
Mm,
we recently finished 2021, and then you got your like Spotify Wrapped and everything, but you have it different as an artist, correct?
yeah, yeah.
So how's that? Like, you want to walk us through like your numbers and how it works and everything like that?
Yeah. Well, the 2021 one came out. I think 2020 was also good, but it was like it was like I had 40,000 plays, I think. It was in a lot less countries, like 40 out of like 100 something countries. So I didn't really reach that far. It was mainly, you know, it was mainly Hong Kong. And then during 2021, that's when other people in different countries started hearing about my music, you know, people that I don't know. I think that's a good thing about music. I think that if people personally know you, they'll criticize you a lot because they tend to know more, uh, you know, about your personal, life than people that don't know you at all and that just listen to your music. So I think that was a good point, and I got like 60,000 plays or 80,000 plays in that year. So I'm at 130,000 now. So it's like 80,000 in 1 year, and it was 100 and I think 142 countries that I reached. So 142 people in different countries, 142 countries with all different people listening to it. So
So
pretty.
clearly there was like an increase in like statistics. So is there something different from like 2020 music and 2021 music?
You mean like how like mentally, like to me,
Yeah,
or
or like even like production wise or like lyricism.
yeah. In 2021, that's the first time I went to the studio. Actually, no, that was 20. I went to the studio first time in 2020. But I released a song in 2021, so I feel like that it was like a really crucial moment for me to grow and my production quality and how I visualize making music and how my standards are for when I post a song. Because once I heard how good you can sound, with a studio microphone and someone from the studio mixing everything, it kind of made me rethink about how I do my own things because I can't afford to go to the studio, every 2 seconds. That one studio session costed like $3,000 for one song, and I have 20 songs on my album. So just imagine if if I went to the studio for all 20 songs, that I just I can't afford that. So I had to get my own personal how I make the music myself higher. So
Right.
yeah, but
Talking
mentally, I feel like if you're talking about like the ego, I feel like there's a really big stereotype because people don't know what it's like for the feeling of being an artist. I feel like other people think that, oh, you know, people are like, oh, it's so like so cool, they must feel so good. But I feel like I expected that too when I got to bigger numbers. Like I thought after hitting 100,000, I'd be like super like happy with myself. But honestly, like it's kind of like what they say with money, like money doesn't buy happiness. And I feel like I understand that whole meaning now because I feel exactly the same as when I first started music. Like I might personally know that my music is better, but I'll always be shooting for a higher goal, and it's like a never ending cycle. And I think that's why a lot of bigger artists, they end up stop making music as much as they did because when they first started, they were like, oh yeah, it's like an escape from reality, it's like all of this, all of that.
Mhm.
But once they reach that level of fame and once they achieve all these numbers that they once dreamed of, they don't really get anything out of it other than money, just a bunch of people hating on them, some people loving them, pressure, stress. So yeah.
So do you think that the pressure of maybe like expectation is one of the hardest parts of making music?
I think so, yeah, because well, it's kind of to do with personal, like for me, it's like, I'm about to graduate next year, and it's like if I don't start, if I don't start doing things, like I can't just keep going on this path of not doing bigger things, like I'm kind of like, you could say I'm on like a time frame, like there's like a certain amount of time until I need to do something else or I had to stop music because I'm young, and once you're older, people don't really, like it's better to make music when you're younger. I'm not saying you can't do it when you're older, but you should like pick up and make connections when you're younger. So
Right, right.
I feel like it's a lot of stress mentally to like figure out, how am I going to get a record deal? How good are all my songs? How much I have to edit them? Will people like it? The cover art and the advertising and marketing and all of that. So I think it's really stressful. Yeah.
Yeah. So, since you've been growing so rapidly, especially in Hong Kong, but even in other countries, as you said, one question that I would have is that, you like listen to like mainstream artists, you can tell them apart. Like if I put on a Travis Scott song, it's Travis Scott.
Mm-hmm.
If I put on like an Ian Dior song.
Mm.
So do you think you're like doing anything in the sense that if I put this on, I can, I could probably tell that this is Nighter99, this is Doty's style.
I feel like currently I'm still trying to find my style. It's because I feel like I know I started with making sad music, but you can't be sad forever. Yeah, I heard some stories about some bigger, a great example of it actually is the Ian Dior, the person why I started. I feel like I don't like Ian Dior that much anymore. It's because when I first started listening to Ian Dior, it was about all of this pain and all of this emotion that he had that I completely related to. And now it's just kind of like he's doing his own thing because there is no pain anymore because he's like famous and all of that. I don't really feel a sense of connection to him anymore. He's just making all of this music and it probably isn't even like reality. Like as an artist, like I can tell when someone's writing something and singing something, um, when it comes from their heart. And I feel like a lot of artists nowadays don't have that. So I feel like I can't stick to the sad music path forever. Obviously I can make it, but I feel like once you get big, you only have to you always have to stick to like one genre. Like you never see like Selena Gomez making a rap song because everybody loves her for pop. So you got to kind of find your niche on where you think you like it and where other people like it and how comfortable you feel. And I don't think I found that music yet, but I really do want to start. I told Aditya this. I really want to start making punk rock music because I feel really connected to punk rock, but it's really hard to like pull off because it's hard to like actually make the lyrics to like an actual an actual beat other than like it's just electronics,
Right.
like electronic drums. It's harder to like make lyrics to something that's reality. And I really want to get into that. I have one punk rock song that's on my album, and it's pretty good. But it took me a while to like do everything. You have to get the keys right. You need to make sure the lyrics are like connecting with the beat. So I feel like that's my next step to get into the punk rock genre.
Right.
So yeah.
I have a question about when you make music. Does like lyrics come first, or do you start with like chords, or how does that sort of work?
Mm. I feel like the big problem for me nowadays is that I'm sure a lot of other people that make music can relate to that too, is that so many beats are like fabricated in the exact same way. Like they might sound different, but like if you really listen to it, it's like the same thing. It's like the same thing over and over and over again. Like, okay, for example, if I typed up punk rock type beat on YouTube, okay, it's just gonna be like a guitar, a bunch of drums, and then the guitar again, and then a bunch of drums. There's like nothing. There's
Hmm.
nothing that makes that beat special. So I feel like the first thing for me is to find a beat that one I think is special and distinct, and second that I feel a connection to, and third, you know, just how how I can make the lyrics. It has to be like a beat that I feel like I can really make like a verse to, because I could make a chorus to a song, and then you get to the part where you get to write a verse, and then you're just like, oh, what am I gonna do now? Because the beat might not match what you have in mind. So that kind of goes into play in how I choose a beat.
Yeah, no, that sounds fair. I think that's how a lot of people go at it, especially when they're making songs with beats. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone obviously has to do that genre,
Hmm.
which brings me back to what you said about how like these mainstream artists like have to stick to one genre, like they feel almost entitled to because of the audience reaction they get. Don't you think that's like one of the negatives of the music industry? Like someone like
Of
Machine
course, of
Gun Kelly,
course.
who switched genres from rap to punk rock is getting so much hate just because
Mm,
he's trying something different. Um,
exactly,
so it's
exactly. I completely relate to that, and it leads back to the pressure in making music, and it's kind of like you're put into this box that even though you don't want to be in this box, you kind of you're like required to, and I feel like even though bigger artists they might handle criticism more lightly than people who are just starting off. Obviously everybody receives criticism in the same way. You feel emotionally, damaged. There's no escaping it. Like you can like put it off and you can say, oh yeah, no, it's fine, like I don't care. But obviously every time deep down, it takes a toll on you emotionally. And you could see that with YouTubers, with musicians, when they get canceled, they seem almost impeccable, like they're gods, and then something happens to them, and they start receiving hate, and the whole facade of that they're like gods. They're just like everybody else. And if everybody doesn't think that the music is what they started listening to them for, then they start getting hated. But that's not what they personally want to do. So it's like they're trapped in this box. It even goes with the record label, because you can feel like you want to make music, and you go to the record label and you'd be like, oh yeah, I want to start making this music, and they're like, no, because all they care about is money. They don't really care about you, they just care about money. So I feel like the music industry is just it's cool and all. It's like it's nice to be big. you know in the past, the only thing I wanted to be was making music. But once I got older, I started, realizing everything else about how many snakes there are. Like, you're never gonna have friends if you're big. You're never gonna have real friends. If you meet a girl, you'd never know if she's in it because of you, or in it because of your fame, or because of your clout. So I feel like that's why I'm not saying I don't like making music and I don't want to be a musician anymore. I'm just saying that it's something that you would have to give a lot to, and that you would have to devote to emotionally and physically to completely do.
Yeah, it's like one of the sacrifices you need to do.
Yeah. It's like a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
That's how I would say it. It's a gift and a curse.
So for
So,
you, would you be willing to do that? Like to become big and sacrifice, having like real friends or
I feel like it really depends, because I still see artists that that have normal lives and that connect with their fans. I think a big example. I don't know if you know the artist called Rural, but he's just a really down to earth person. He seems like, well, I don't know like his actual personal life, but he seems like he's doing fine, and that
right.
he's still connecting with the people. But you can't really tell where you're gonna go. You can't really predict it. It kind of all just happens. It just happens. You can't really. I wouldn't say I'm not willing to undertake music. I feel like, because one of my other things I really want to do is business, and I feel like business is, in the past, obviously music is like, it was my thing. I was always chasing other people's opinions, and I was always trying to please other people, and I was like, music is the best way to do that.
right?
But nowadays I feel like, once you get older, you start to realize that you need to be alone sometimes, and you need to be a distance away from other people sometimes. And I feel like music, you can't really have that. Everybody's always looking at what you do, everybody's always judging what you do, everybody's always criticizing what you do. So I feel like it's a big trap, and I would take music, but I think at one point I would end up being, kind of sick of it, or
Right.
kind of, I wouldn't like it as much as I did as of now. So I feel like that's one of the downsides.
I think I think it's important that, and that, like one way you succeed is that, in knowing that you're making music for yourself, and that's when
Exactly.
best music. So nobody was gonna, blame anyone if they just don't like to make
Yeah.
music at the moment. So that's fair. You mentioned something about money. So I want to know if we can talk about money. Are you making money from music, right?
Well, actually, when I first, seeing all, seeing all of these artists with like big ass chains, nice ass houses. When I first got into music, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make bank. I was like, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make money. Like, this is gonna be like my way out of here, to a better life. And I started making music, and then I was like getting thousands of plays, tens of thousands of plays. And I was like, where's my money? Obviously I have got the money, but it's just like, it's not it's not what's portrayed on the
Mm.
media. It's just really, really bad compared to what's portrayed on the media. It's like, I think for every 1,000 plays they pay you like 40 Hong Kong.
Yeah.
4,000 plays. That's around like what they pay you, and I've got 100,000. I think I've earned like 6,000 in total, 4,000 Hong Kong, 5,000, like 4 to 6,000, like in between there, from like 3 years of making music. So financially, if you're not big, it's not really feasible. But I feel like for the bigger artists, they kind of, it's like a factory. Like they get a hit song. Like okay, a big example of this is Lil Tecca. He came out of nowhere. He released what's that song called? I go black, I go white. Yeah, Ransom.
Ransom.
And he made that song, and he was making an album. It had Ransom and it had a bunch of other songs, and he made all this money, and then he kind of disappeared for a year. And then I remember I saw him come back with the exact same album name. It just said two on it. It was the same album, different songs, but I
Yeah.
could tell that financially he made all that money, and he was like, I'm just gonna go on a holiday for a year. 1 year later, he ran out of money. He made music again. So I feel like for a lot of big artists, it's not about emotional or about physical anymore. It's just about financial. It's about getting that steady stream of income. And a lot of people, I think, get taken away by the money. I think also a big example of it's Lil Mosey, because lately I've been seeing him post a bunch of other songs. Like he's like begging like people he's gonna get a hit song. After Blueberry Faygo, he had all this money and he kind of went ghost for a bit, and then he started making a bunch of smaller songs that I see now. And it's like on and on. Like I think he makes 4 music videos a month nowadays, and it's like so many people care about financials, but they kind of forget why they started.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's a big tell because just in general, like you see like Spotify top 40s or whatever, and the length of the songs are just getting shorter and shorter. Like
Exactly.
nobody makes
Exactly.
music over 4 minutes anymore. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, so I mean you make music because you enjoy it though, right? So that's
Not financials. I mean, obviously, I would be a factory myself if it was financials. But yeah, I would obviously like. I feel like I can imagine what they're going through, though. Like I can imagine that they had to pick either make what they want and people don't like it, or stick to what people want and they don't like it, but they get the money. So I kind of see where they come from in a way.
So do you think it's sort of a balance between the two, between like what I want and what, like the crowd wants? Or do you think it's always like one-sided? Like you can't have like the best of both?
No, yeah, I feel like it's always one-sided. You can't have the best of both worlds. Well, maybe you can, but I feel like it's super rare.
Hmm.
And I feel like just nowadays it's so commonplace that it's either one or the other. Like what I said about Ian Dior earlier, when he first started making music, it was more on the fan and himself side, people
Right.
listening to his music and himself. But nowadays, once he started getting that fame, it's more to the money side and not
Right.
about the fans, not about himself. They start becoming more egotistical. They start becoming more like, oh, I'm big. I don't need to care about, the people that listen to me, and they kind of forget where they came from and that they were in the exact same place too once because of all this fame. So it's always one-sided. It goes from one to the other to one to the other. It's never a mix of both, you
Right.
know. And no, and personally, even I have dealt with this. Like when I'm alone, it's I'm trying to impress. When I'm alone, I'm trying to impress myself and the people that listen to my music. I want the best for that. But when I go outside, when Lankwai was still open, it was like I was trying to. No, it wasn't that anymore. It's like I was so focused on the ego and so focused on the cloud that it's like so many people were asking me like, are you Nighter99? Are you this? Are you that? And I was like, it was a time when I first started performing, and it's like a drug. Like it feels like a drug. Like it's so all the adrenaline, it messes up your head with all these people knowing who you are, and being in front of all these people. It messes with your head. And if it happened to me, and I'm not even that big, just like I can't even imagine what all these bigger artists are, how they're feeling, because it must be like 100 times more powerful ego and all of that if they're that big, you know. So even I have personally felt what this feels like, and it's hard. Like it's literally like a drug. Like it's hard to get away from.
Yeah, it's interesting you put it that way, but I mean, that's probably the best analogy to it. It is
Yeah.
the adrenaline rush you're getting. I mean, now that COVID's happened, you're probably not performing as often as probably last year, though, right?
No. Uh, I think the one thing I would like to say is the Hong Kong teens are so like our generation and below, and maybe like one above generation. It's so toxic. It's so bad. I remember I was I got a bunch of I wanted to like make a show where it's like all the Hong Kong artists, different genres, that we all came together and we performed one night at Fire and Ice. And I don't know if you remember, but somebody ended up actually calling the feds and snitching about the entire show. And they directly went to the club and they shut it down because someone our age snitched on the feds. And it's crazy because it's like it kind of like shows you that nobody really cares about you. Like you never really know who these people that snitch to the feds are or who talks crap behind your back. You know, you never know. They could be your closest friends. They could be people you call brothers, people that you consider close friends. But in reality, you never really know. And personally, like I I I feel like the music has made me more aware of it. You know, the people that really care about you, because I can't even count. Like so many people I've heard of that I personally consider a friend, and they consider me a friend. I've heard from somebody else that they were talking smack behind my back.
Mhm.
So I don't think without music I would have that kind of third eye, I would like to say.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably like, is it only in friends? Does it work with like your relationships? You know,
Well, obviously, well,
I was
obviously, I had a
sorry. Sorry. Go on.
yeah, well, obviously, I don't know about my relationships, like even like like my relationships with people. Even though I don't have any now, in the past, you never know what their true motive is, and
Yeah.
so many people told me that I was dating this one person once. I'm not gonna specify names, obviously, just in case, but
We can bleep it out.
but yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, but a lot of people told me that she was just in it for the clout, and I didn't believe it, and I didn't believe it or anything. But now that I look back on it, she used to have like 500 followers, and like now she has like 1,600. So I look back at myself, and I'm like, okay, maybe it was for the clout. So I feel like a lot of people do shit for the clout, and it's weird because like so many people, they ask other people like, are they friends with me, and then they talk smack about me. So I'm like, do you want to be friends with me, or do you like want to be on the bad side? It's like they talk smack about me, and then they see me in real life, and they're like, oh, are you Nighter99, are you Dodie? In reality, behind my back and to their friends, they're talking smack about me. So it's like, it's like it really messes with my relationships because I don't know who's real and who's fake. Honestly, like at this point, like I don't think anybody is real or anything, like if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember. I'm gonna share this story because I think it's funny, but Dodie
Yeah.
hasn't heard my side of it. But basically, this is when you and we hadn't really met so often.
Mm.
I was on the way to the beach with a few of my friends, and we went on Snap Maps, and we saw you there.
Mm.
Then I met, we bumped into someone else, and we're going the other way now. So I make a joke like, oh, I was about to go meet, Nighter99. And we look to the right, and you're sitting right there on our bus. And I get a bit embarrassed. I said that really loud. And you look over to us, and we're like, hey, it's like kind of, we have this awkward thing, but it was just so funny at the moment.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was kind of mocking you off, like, Nighter99, like
Exactly. That's normal. Like I don't even know how many times people. I think that's happened before. Like a few times, like people were talking about my music, and I was right there, and people didn't realize that it was me. And then I was like, "That's me," you know. Like I'm standing right here, and they're like, "You're the person that makes the music." Um,
Yeah.
You sort of get used to that fact that people like talk about you like 1999 or like this guy who makes music, or
well, yeah, I would say I'm used to it by now. There was one time I was on a taxi. Yeah, one of the things I would like to say is that it kind of makes me sad that people know more about, like, people talk about the name Nighter99 more than they talk about my real identity. So like people, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, there's this dude Nighter99," but they don't know who actually I am. So it's like it goes back to what I said about clout. It's like an ego and all of that. It's like people know what you portray, but they don't know the real you. I remember I was in the taxi one time, and my friend's girlfriend said, my friend's boyfriend said to his girlfriend that, oh, this guy makes music and blah 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 blah, and he shows her my music, and she's like, oh, so you're the guy that makes music, and I'm just like, at that moment I kind of reflected, and I was just like, it's kind of sad how you know how people don't really know about me, but they know about the name Nighter99. If that makes sense. It's like
But
people don't really care about the person behind it, but they just care about the facade.
I feel like, but that's again, as you mentioned before, like a gift and a curse. Like you look at
Yeah,
art,
exactly,
like,
exactly,
do you really want like some random stranger to know your real identity and like who you are, all these
exactly.
details about your life? Like if I, nobody, like if I ask you Lil Mosey's real name, you probably don't
Mhm,
know it, like off the bat.
mhm,
There's
exactly,
very few people that get famous in their real identity, but that's if they go to like Hollywood or something like that.
exactly.
So, or if they have those crazy fans on Wikipedia, but
Mhm,
that's why stage names are a thing. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like necessarily like a bad thing that people don't know you as Dodie, but they know you as Nighter99. I mean, as long as people are talking about you, it's good, right?
yeah, I mean, for music, it is, but emotionally, it's a weird concept to get your head around, because for your whole life you're like, this is your name, this is your identity, like you're Aditya, and people are suddenly like, for your whole life people have been calling you Aditya, and all of a sudden they're calling you something else that's like not actually you. So it's kind of a weird concept to get your head around.
Yeah, no, I actually have a rapper name. So
Yeah.
from now on, I'd like both of you to address me by that name instead of Aditya. Um,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it's Lil Diddy.
Lil Diddy. Okay. What's
Because
this Lil Diddy?
it's because so this is how I came up with it. It's what is the one like special thing about me? It's like, oh, it's that I have a little ditty. So I called myself Lil Diddy. So
Well, I think a good topic to bring up, like, this is not just about me. It's kind of a group discussion. It's about what do you guys, well, now I'm kind of interviewing you guys. Well, well, what do you guys think about, Hong Kong, like the people, and the culture and all of that? What do you guys personally think?
I would say, yeah, as you were mentioning this, and the Hong Kong scene is very different to, well, I'm assuming it's different to everywhere else in the world
Yeah.
because there's so much diversity here in this small place, and you get so many opinions and so many different perspectives. And the reasoning behind it could be so vast. Like someone could hate it because of a certain reason, and someone could love it for like a completely other reason. So it's like, you can't please them all in Hong Kong.
Exactly.
right,
Exactly.
right, right. Like Aditya saying, it's like a mixing part of like so many different cultures and so many different backgrounds that it's kind of hard to get big because it's like not like a streamlined, perspective where everyone thinks like the same way. And I don't know, maybe it's not just music, maybe it's also like, films or like any other creative medium, but I just feel like it's, I guess harder to get famous in a sense.
Mm, yeah, I agree with that. I think one of the main things about me, and I don't know if you guys relate to this, but have you like you guys ever like you want to find a person like it could be like your future girlfriend or whatever,
Hmm.
and you start to come to the realization that it's almost impossible in Hong Kong. Like so many times, this idea of like Hong Kong's so small and like you know they could like cheat on you. I think that's also where most of my music came from. It's just like the thought of like you get together with someone, and it's actually happened. It's happened to me. Like you get together with somebody and they end up sleeping with your best friend, or in the future they end up doing shit with your friends and your close friends, and I don't know, you start dating somebody and it's like all of a sudden you start talking to them and they're like, oh yeah, in the past I've hooked up with this person, this person, this person, and you realize that they're all your friends, and it's just you don't really get that anywhere else in the world. It's like everybody is just like with everybody, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when stuff happened to me with my past relationships, to do with other people, most of them were with with people that are I considered, or I still consider, my friends, or that we became friends, and that it's just kind of like Hong Kong is such a small place, and everybody's gonna find out about everything, you know, that you do with somebody else. If you do something, if there's a rumor, everybody's gonna find out about it,
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys relate to that, but
No, no, no. I completely get what you mean.
I was gonna say
yeah,
that Kian and I, we don't really talk to the other sex.
yeah, that actually has to do with me too.
No, I think
Yeah.
on a more serious note, it's about age. I think, um,
Mm.
I think I go outside and a lot of like the uni students or adults. I mean, they're obviously happy with someone in Hong Kong, so it's not about.
Obviously, yeah.
It's not necessarily. I think it's just our age at the moment, and obviously our exposure to all these. It's almost like hookup culture. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So
At the same time, it's weird though, because it's like the hookup culture in Hong Kong. It's like, okay, if you went to the States, okay, for example, and you ask somebody to hook up, it'll be like you want to have full on sex, but like and like have like like friends with benefits or like a relationship in Hong Kong. If you say do you want to hook up, it's more like you kiss me and then we forget this ever happened. And you never tell anybody,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And at the same time, it's like it's so weird because when I go out nowadays, it's like I see so many people that are that are a bit younger, and they just came out of nowhere. Like I never saw these people before,
yeah.
and now like you just see these big groups of people, and so many times like I've seen like my friends and all of that, they end up doing something with somebody else and not knowing their age because there's just so many of them out there now. Like it's weird because like you used to be with like a group of like 10 people going out, and now you're with a group of like three, and you just see like these other people, like they're like groups of like 20 or 30 people just walking around, and you're like, where did these people even come from,
Okay, so my 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 mate over here, Hyun, he had this girl text him. She told him she was 15, and then like after a good couple of months talking to her, he realizes that she actually lied about her age, and she's like a year younger. And like luckily I never met her, we only texted. My man went to the
Oh my God.
so it's one of like I'm sure he still gets PTSD now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I don't know
For me,
what's real and what's fake.
exactly. For me, it's like when Lankwire was still open, it's like, so many girls just have this mentality to get with guys, and it's like And it's like one time I was in that situation. Yeah, I don't think I know a lot of people that don't give a shit about about the person's age, but personally, I have morals. So,
Mm.
yeah. So one time, this person came up to me and like, she looked like she that we were the same age, and then like we started getting closer and we started talking, and we were like this close about doing something, and all of a sudden she just says her age and she asked me, how old are you? And I'm just like, oh hell no. Nah. It was like I think it was like either 1.5 or 2 years, and I just dipped. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. And it's happened to me multiple times. Like
Mm.
I try to get close to somebody and then they just say their age, and I just
Every
yeah,
time.
no, and especially I feel like they should put I feel like they should put a feature on Snapchat where it tells you their age before you add them. You
Yeah.
know, that would be very, very helpful. I would filter the people at my age and not my age out. But I feel like more than half of my Snapchat now are people that actually no, I feel like 75% of my Snapchat is either people that are older than me or that are
Mm.
young, like really young, and like I'm snapping them and I don't know their age, and all of a sudden they say their age, and I'm
Right.
just like shit.
Right. At this point, like I want their birth certificate. Like they can
You're
like, lie about that
Exactly.
shit.
Like show me your ID. Like
Yeah.
you're
Like,
setting up your Snap account, and then the next part is upload, scan
yeah,
it.
like a PDF. Like I
exactly.
definitely think that it's like a big problem. Like you don't know, and then you could get in like a lot of trouble.
So this conversation is
It's
just
like nah. Yeah, but it's fucked up. 'Cause, like,
A few inches later.
every hello.
I think you're back.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
You were
We
frozen
lost
for like a
you.
good minute.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, now we can.
Wait, okay. All right. So I was saying like one of the big things is like you go to all these places and you kind of expect people to be same age, same blah blah blah, same all of this, and that's kind of the stereotype. In like places like Langquat, you kind of expect people to be similar than you, and I feel like it's a big problem that like there's just so many people that aren't, and so many people that are lying, and so many people that are
Mm.
all of this and that. So that's one of the bad things about Hong Kong.
Yeah.
There's so many liars. Even it's not even to do with club. It's just like I
Just
feel like
true.
so many people just lie, just in
Right.
general,
Yeah.
just you know. So yeah.
I feel like we should round this interview up with like going back to the music aspect.
Oh
Uh
yeah. So yeah.
Kidding. No. I mean, so obviously you have an album coming out, but other than that, what's next for Nighter99? I mean, that's where we should end this.
Couple of music videos, the album. Maybe if COVID gets better, some performances.
All right.
A feature from Kian and Aditya.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course, of course.
Yeah.
I'd actually be down. You guys can make like an intro to your guys' channel or some shit where it's like a
Yeah.
song.
That's good.
It's like we
Yeah.
got Nighter99 rapping our intro, It's like,
Exactly,
That's mad.
exactly. All right, thank you for everything, guys.
Yeah. You too. Thank you.
All right, have a great day.
you
Yeah.
man.
Good luck
Bye.
with editing this.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Take care, mate. Ah, I nearly shit my pants.
That should be